Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I rise today against this bill on behalf of working men and women, both at home and around the Commonwealth. They aren't here today. They're at work, most of them, and they aren't represented by the Chamber of Commerce, and they're represented by us, the members of this body. They don't have an army of corporate lobbyists, and I'm one of the people in this House chamber that just wants to kill the bill because it's bad for workers. It's bad for working people around the Commonwealth. So it is on their behalf that I ask this question to my colleagues, a serious question. When is enough enough? Was it not enough last session when we slashed workers' wages, eliminated workers' rights, and shredded safety regulations protecting Kentucky's able-bodied working men and women? Evidently, the corporate powers weren't satisfied with an assault on able-bodied people in this state. So now we're going after Kentucky's injured and disabled working men and women. Even with the special interest carve-out for the firefighters, it doesn't change the fact that this bill is another corporate greed bill, drafted and supported by corporate special interests who now have a chokehold on Kentucky's working men and women. And folks, they can't breathe. According to testimony before the committee, businesses are paying less in workers' comp premiums than they were 10 years ago. What else has gone down? According to the testimony, workers' comp premiums for corporations and businesses are 60% less than they were 10 years ago. Who among us can say that your family's operating expenses have declined at that rate over the last 10 years? More importantly, how many of Kentucky's working families can say their living expenses have declined 60% in the past 10 years? And that is not because a 60% reduction in payroll, I can assure you. This bill is not needed because workers' comp premiums are skyrocketing, because they're not. They're simply not. Rather, this bill is a result of one thing and one thing alone, which is corporate greed, which we see a lot of here in Frankfort these days. This legislation shifts costs from corporations onto the backs of injured workers, and if adopted, it'll cost injured workers more and make their lives harder. You can count on that. It even takes some current medical benefits away from some injured workers who have already had their cases decided in court. It discriminates against our elderly who were injured by taking away benefits for those that are 67 and older, shifting the responsibility for their medical costs from corporations to the taxpayers. Supporters talk about welfare reform, but this bill is just more welfare for corporations. It's truly stunning the degree to which supporters of the bill are willing to go in an effort to boost the bottom lines and profits of their friends at the Chamber of Commerce. This bill cuts the time injured workers can draw their benefits. It creates a whole new set of bureaucratic hoops for injured workers to jump through, and it adds more burdensome regulations. This is definitely not a red tape reduction bill. And let's be very clear about this. For those of you representing families living in coal fields in eastern and western Kentucky, make no mistake, voting for this bill is just another gut punch to the coal miners suffering from black lung disease. And we all know them that live in eastern and western Kentucky. How anyone could vote for this bill and look another coal miner in the eye is beyond me. So again, for those of you in the body that voted last year for the Blue Lives Matters bill, well, here's an opportunity for you to show your true concern for blue lives, because they don't support this bill. If blue lives truly matter, you'll oppose this because they oppose it. This bill is substantive. It really does something to affect blue lives in Kentucky. So in summary, Mr. Speaker, the cost of workers' comp premiums have declined Over the last 10 years, corporate taxes have been cut to the lowest level in decades. Profits are at an all-time high, yet here we are in Frankfurt, again, stripping workers of their rights, cutting workers' wages, eliminating workplace safety regulations, and slashing workers' pensions. Now we're cutting the benefits to disabled workers who were hurt on the job, all in the name of more corporate profits, a better bottom line. How low are we willing to go? How much corporate greed can we stomach? Enough is enough. When will this body take the corporate boot off the necks of Kentucky workers? Ladies and gentlemen, your vote on this bill is a reflection of your values. Will you help working men and women who've been injured on the job and are struggling to make ends meet? Or do you value corporate profits, which are at an all-time high, but still they want more? So ladies and gentlemen, I know which one I value, and I will be voting against the bill, and I urge you to do the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.